Hey, what's up, everybody? The V Club here, the Villain Club, coming at you with another video here. Um, it's interesting, you know. Oh, by the way, welcome. If you've stumbled across my channel, subscribe, hit the bell icon. That way you can stay on top of what we got going on over here. See right here, the V Club. And it's about anything and everything, exactly what it says here. It's anything and everything. And let's talk about it. All right. Here's one right here that we've touched on here and there throughout is if Kamala lost the presidential election, what would be next for her, right? And two things. All right. She lost badly, so that's just a notable thing there. And two things could happen. One, she could run again in 2028. But there's so many other better candidates, right? That we've already seen her work, right? And her work has been exposed. And so, whether it's the present, as in vice president, all the way back to her days of DA and how she kind of sneaked her way into the top, right? And so, throughout the way, you could tell that her work was kind of just laid out for her to just do, and she just did enough to get the job done, right? But when you look at everything else about her, very progressive, and that shit's out, right? Very progressive. I mean, far left, right? We're talking about how she said her values haven't changed, right? So you're talking about no drilling for oil, so we could be self-sufficient, self-dependent. The Green New Deal, right, where everything's electric, right? Even though we don't have the infrastructure for it. And then you look at handouts to everybody else except for us, whether it's California or Americans, right? Just give it to illegals, give it to illegals, right? Open borders, that's another thing. And so, when you look at everything else, and then when you got put as borders are, but you don't do nothing, and then you're supposed to investigate and study root causes for it, but yet you have no answer for that. Yet you never even answered the question. Okay, so let's just say that you weren't put in charge of the border, but you were supposed to study the root causes of it. Well, we never had an answer for that, and we never will, right? And so when you look at everything else, on top of what Democrats typically do is spin, 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 right? To the tune of, I mean, when you look at everything else, right, that is being said, look at DNC donors furious amid debt, layoffs, right? Things like that. All the things that, is being said about Kamala, $1 billion and you still lost, right? And when you look at it, it's like, you know, they praise about, oh man, you got donors to put in over $1 billion in such a short time, right? But then do you look at the other flip side of that? Yeah, she spent all that and still lost, right? She put a valiant effort. Yeah, $1 billion in a valiant effort. And then you come to find out about all the paid endorsements. So they weren't even true endorsements. So if they weren't paid, then how much lack of support she would have had, whether it's from the paid people and maybe some of those paid people, right? The singers, the actors, things like that. Maybe they would have, they did bring some followers, obviously, right? Because if you're a fan of the celebrities or actors, singers, whatever, right? If they are, endorsers, of course you're going to have a little bit of support follow them. But I wonder how much of those paid endorsements actually came through with more support, that followed them, or if they just didn't care. That's the interesting thing that I would be curious about is what was the turnover, right? This is the business side of things now. What is the turnover of rate and of what these paid celebrities and stuff brought to the Democrat Party when it came to the return on investment, right? Isn't that what that is? You invested in a paid, to pay somebody, a celebrity, whatever, to endorse, and then they're supposed to bring people along with them. Like everybody thought, oh man, well we don't know if Taylor Swift got paid, but when she committed support, supposedly, she has like 30 some million subscribers or followers, I mean, on TikTok or whatever, and it was thought that a lot would be brought over, but it really didn't. It was a minute amount of people that came over because in the end, I guess in that aspect, no one really cared. But yeah, so you look at everything else, they didn't care about inflation. I'm talking about Democrats now. They didn't care about inflation. They didn't care about all this. All they cared about was um, abortion and you know, hey, we got to help the illegals, and we're going to continue to tax you for it, right? And we'll give them free handouts. And it's like, what about us for a change, right? Because that was the one thing that the Democrats were lacking throughout all their election losses was, crime is high now, inflation high, the Green New Deal costs too much for the average American. Um, Gas with no drilling, that means that we're dependent on oil from other nations. That means higher gas prices, right? And so, with everything costing so much, but yet Democrats blame companies, they blame corporations, they blame everybody else but themselves for causing it. The wars across the globe that's happening right now, right? Dilly dallying, fiddling, both sides of Israel and Palestine, or we do have relations with Russia, but yet they keep kind of playing both sides with somewhat with Russia, but mainly trying to support Ukraine and just keep on giving them money, giving them money, giving them money, and it's like shit, just let them be, you know. And so with all that work of a failed politician named Kamala Harris, could she come back in 2028? There's going to be plenty of other candidates that's going to be even better. Like, for example, Josh Shapiro out of Pennsylvania, was said that he could have been a better running mate with Kamala and boosted her profile better. But I think strategically she didn't pick him because he would have overshadowed her as a better politician. And you don't want someone to be bigger than yourself trying to be president. At the same time, I don't know if that would have went over well too because of Kamala's lack of support for the Jewish community, as Shapiro is Jewish and from the Jewish community. It wouldn't have went over well because how can you play Israel, which is mainly Jewish people, but at the same time play Palestine and slash Hamas, right? And play both sides and play, like a fiddle, and still think that you'll still get that support. I just don't see it, And that's why Kamala lost a lot of support from the Jewish community. She lost support from the Muslim community. She lost support from all communities, right? Latino communities, black communities. Um, she fared worse than what Biden had back in 2020. So can Kamala make a comeback? That is the question. All right, let's see what the panel has to say here. I'm curious what they have to say about that.
The Democrats are desperately on the hunt for a fresh new leader with bold ideas and working class bona fides who can lead them out of the wilderness after a humiliating defeat.
Kamala is not
but they might need a wider net. According to a new poll, Kamala Harris is now the 2028 frontrunner. Yeah,
only because she was the vice president. That's why. Or was the vice president. Or will be a was vice president.
Word salad queen who fumbled the ball and couldn't articulate a single policy without telling us about her being a middle-class kid, garnering 41%, with Gavin Newsom coming in second at 8%. And even Katie Couric is shredding VP Harris for giving word salad responses in campaign interviews.
I think she really did well in so many areas, and but I was frustrated by her inability to really succinctly answer questions at times, Jen. You know, people notice that, and it's like, answer the goddamn question, please.
Ooh, the party is also full of advice on how to win back the working class that jumped the ship.
When we have the historic perspective of workers leaving our party, we've got a serious problem.
I am trying to moderate the party.
Yeah, so, you know, maybe it is a wake-up call for the Democrats, you know, because they did drive away the unions. They drove away the working class because they're favoring elites and illegals. You know, they favored opposite ends of the spectrum, right? The elites and the illegals. And then what about the rest of us, the middle, you know, the Americans, the middle class, if you want to call it middle class, but how about the working class, right? And it's just funny how it's waking them up, right? How are they going to get that back? Well, it starts with policies, because the policies they got suck ass.
Yeah, this is not about me, though. This really is about how we get the party back to a winning position. And we're not going to win the midterms.
You don't like something that somebody's saying, if you don't like something that somebody's doing, why not go talk to that person about it, and challenge them right then and there? Well, how about grow some and go on these platforms?
All right, Jessica, it's been 2 weeks. Is Kamala Harris going to get a third shot in 2028 from the Democrats?
I would doubt it. I mean, this is usually how it goes. I mean, she's top of mind for everyone. She just ran. I think it's probably more likely in the sniffing around the possibility of her running for California governor than coming back.
That's exactly would have been my second option I was going to cover is, if not president, her fallback would be California governor, because Newsom's termed out in 2026. And so, look, thank goodness he's termed out, because he's trash too. And so Kamala would actually jump in and be kind of the front runner to be the next governor, because of her profile in California, her past in California as senator, attorney general, vice president now for the United States. Governor would probably be the next thing. She can't go back, or she probably wouldn't want to go back to being a senator or go back into the House, because that's kind of like stepping down to where she was. But governor would still be a next realistic prospect position to be in. And oh man, this is going to destroy California even more if she succeeds. Newsom, that would be bad, real bad, even worse. It'll just be continue to this terrible stuff we got going on right now over the last, give or take 10 years.
To do this, but I think that the 2028 primary is going to be full of very interesting characters with a lot of good stuff to run on. And you saw that at the DNC. People like Josh Shapiro, Gretchen Whitmer, Wes Moore, Gavin Newsom, people with great executive experience and records to show off. What I did think was interesting to see today, so Dan Osborne, who was the independent candidate in Nebraska, running against Deb Fischer, he narrowly lost, a union leader, a Navy veteran, someone who wouldn't associate with either party at all, just launched a new group to get more working class candidates on the ballot. And I think that that's the kind of energy that'll be really good for the Democratic Party.
Greg, do we think that they will learn anything about this deep dive to the left, or will they run another San Francisco liberal?
No, that's an excellent question, Katie. I am curious to see what an actual Democrat sounds like. I don't care what they look like.
I'm right here.
You are. But if you care about what they look like, then you're still the problem. If you say, well, look, she's black, she's gay, she's female, she's trans, she's left-handed, she's a redhead. Fine, nominate Rachel Levine.
You know, it's funny because what's her name? London Breed ran on that for the past mayoral race and this mayor race in San Francisco, trying to run it on race and all this stuff, trans identity and all that crap, right? And she still lost because people are tired of this shit, right? People are about what's happening, right? They want to deal with, you know, with the crime problem we have, inflation problem we have, cost of living, you know, stuff in general. That's the stuff they want to deal with, not this identity and racial type stuff. You know, people, it's stupid, it's tired, and people are over it. So if you're going to run on that, yeah, then you're going to lose again.
But people want competence, they want common sense, they want some wisdom, some power with empathy. And for that, you're going to have to bury identity politics. The goal with the identity politics was to elevate specific groups that would then bind them together as a unified coalition, a melting pot without the melting. That was the problem. Turns out elevating the self doesn't pay the bills. People start to feel excluded when you see who you include. And there are more commonalities between different groups, believe it or not, than between people of one group. There's actually data on that, and I'd love to share it with you, but it's boring. I think the perfect candidate should also do something that almost none of them do on the left, which is assume the best and not the worst intentions of the opposition, meaning you can tell us we're wrong, but don't tell us we're evil. Yeah, I think this has been the fatal flaw for the last, 2 decades. You know, you're not just wrong, you're evil, and then that means we can demonize you, we can call you Hitler, we can call you Nazis.
And they're sore losers, too. They continue to be sore losers. You know, everything's about, insulting others, and then when they lose, they're sore losers. All right, always blaming other people for their problems that they caused, you know. It sucks.
All these methods of demonization are on the table. I feel great when people tell me I'm wrong. I like it when they explain it to me. I know I can be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm not evil. Unlike Jesse, who is evil.
Or Shannon Bream.
But not wrong.
Well, I'm sad to know my left-handed political capital is gone now. Apparently, that really is not great for me. But Jesse, wouldn't this be good for Republicans if they decided to run her again?
I hope they do run her again, but the Democrats don't usually renominate losers. That's what Republicans usually do. It's just not in their history. But she's on vacation. She's going to Hawaii with Doug. They're probably looking at the numbers and they're pumped. They're popping bottles. But I wouldn't get too excited because could she ever even win a primary? I don't know if she could. If you were a donor, would you give money to the Harris campaign again? After they just took it and gave it to Oprah and Al Sharpton and didn't go on Rogan? Hell no. I wouldn't go near it. Plus, even Bill Clinton said that they're probably not going to run another woman again. And that really hurts. Katie Curry bothers me because same thing. She's all critical after the fact.
Exactly.
What good is that? This is when you should have been critical during this whole election because people do listen. That's what you have primaries for. Even around this table, we'll be like, did Trump really need to say she ain't black? Or did Trump really have to go 5.5 hours at the RNC? And he listens and you get better. The Democrats haven't had an open primary for a long time. They haven't had media criticism. They've had a cover-up. So that's why they didn't see this result coming. It's going to be good. Next time, you'll have an open primary. Everybody will be just taking shots. They'll be taking shots at each other. And you'll have a nice, healthy process.
Yeah, you'll have town halls like how they used to in the past with Democrat and Republicans sitting there answering questions in a town hall meeting. Some stuff that they actually do when you're running for president, unlike this one, you know. So, I think for sure it's a better election process next time around. And at the same time, I don't think they're going to run Kamala again because why would anybody want to give her any money after that debacle? And you got to be out of your mind if you're going to put money into her again after what happened. And, you know, just it's an embarrassment. For what she did. I'd be embarrassed to even run again if I was her. So I think realistic scenario is for her to go for governor.
That's how it's supposed to work in a democracy, Jessica. And I believe that Newsom has the inside track.
Yeah.
And not just because of his hair, because he can raise a lot of money. He's a tall white guy, which they need, not my words, their words. And
Okay. I'm not sure.
I'm going to stop there.
I'm not sure Gavin Newsom is a good representative for the working class, Judge, but he certainly does have a lot of political capital.
You know, I think the issue in this segment is whether or not a failed presidential candidate can run for president and win.
Twice failed.
And the answer is yes, but she is no Donald Trump. Okay, and that's the guy who, ran, lost, and ran and won.
Biden
so
too,
the
though.
but the big question is Biden. All right, but the big question is, the more she was on the campaign trail, the worse she became. The more we saw of her, everybody was so happy when she first came out because she wasn't Joe Biden, because she could actually walk on a stage and, actually maneuver herself. But, we don't know what the world's going to be like in 4 years. So I don't know if we can predict who's going to be ahead. I mean, I think right now with Kamala Harris at 41%, it's because her name is out there right now.
She's still
what they don't
relevant.
show in this is that the next candidate, the next highest candidate at 16% is unsure. Mm-hmm. So people, I think, are looking for someone else. And, Gavin Newsom at 8%, I mean, he never got involved in Kamala's race. And he was preserving himself, and she's still beating him.
Well, it would have been bad for him anyways, because though his work in California right now is so bad that if you expose that to the national stage currently at this time, it's bad, right? But once he's termed out of, California, he's trying to run for president. At least he has time away from this bad work of art that he's done in California and destroying California. That it doesn't look like a sore black eye like it is right now if he was to join in and run as a replacement candidate, before this election. But he didn't because it would have been bad anyways.
Him as of today.
I would have loved for him to do that. That way he would have got destroyed by the Trump campaign, and then it would have been a win because we would see no more Kamala, no more Biden, and no more Gavin Newsom. That would have been great.
But that's really today. And in the end, I think the Dems have to really analyze themselves and what they did. I don't know if they can sit there and say, let's see if we can get the working class back. No, you have to go to where the working class are right now. They're not going to come to you because they're not buying what you're selling. They're not into this elitist, even the concept of, paying Hollywood elites to show up as though they're going to convince Americans that this is the right person to vote for. It didn't work with Hillary, and it didn't work with Kamala. So, I mean, everything about how they're thinking is not really relevant to what Americans are thinking, especially working Americans.
Think about that. They're not even popular enough, like whether it was Hillary or Kamala, they're not even popular enough just to even win over people and votes and all that. They had to buy celebrity endorsements and things like that, I mean, that shows you how bad they were and how they suck ass, in general.
Who are hungry and who have never before, I believe, felt as distant from the Democrats.
All right, so yeah, there you have it. All right, that's what I think. I think if anything, Kamala will run for California, as because of her history and name recognition and all that. So, but maybe since California's gotten a little bit redder, right? Especially outside of the large cities, that if nothing changes in California in these next couple of years under Gavin, because he's terrible and keeps pushing higher price everything, such as how he was trying to fight the oil industries for their high gas prices and gouging and all that, but yet they're adding a new tax from the CARB Commission, which is the Clean Air Quality Board, whatever it is. For cleaner quality gas, it's kind of a wash, right? But you morons out there will probably buy into it because you're like, oh yeah, he's fighting for us, right? But then when the CARB Commission comes out and says, oh, we're gonna add a little bit of fees to the gas because this is necessary for whatever bullshit they're trying to spiel with. Yeah, it's a wash. And Gavin Newsom sucks again, just like he just has been for a very long time now. But all you blue city, coastal cities like San Francisco, LA are trash because you guys buy into the bullshit. This is what we get in California, right? You want a soft, high price of living in California, open border, give everything to the illegals. That's what you got. So anyhow, that's what Kamala's going to do. She's just going to continue the blue, trash show that's happening right now in California. So if you want more of that, well, here's coming. Kamala's coming for governor 2026 actually. President 2028? Nah. All right, that's what I think. Let me know what you think. Comment down below. Other than that, subscribe, and I'll see you next one.